Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the Whitemarsh Board of Supervisors meeting for October 12th to order. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to have a moment of silence for the tragedies occurring over in Israel. And the Board of Supervisors will offer their support to all our family, friends, and relatives who have been, and neighbors who have been affected by these tragedies. So please stand and we'll have a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll turn it over to JC for the announcements.
The plastic bag ban went into effect on Wednesday, October 11th. Please remember to bring your reusable bags to your local establishments. And I know personally I have to remind myself, even though they're in my car, to take them in. Spring Mill Fire Company will celebrate their 100 years of courage, commitment, and community on Saturday, October 14th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. with an open house and truck housing ceremony. Please come out and support the fire company. The Whitemarsh Community Ambulance Association will host a trunk or treat event at 4019 Joshua Road on October 21st between 4 and 8 p.m. The Whitemarsh Township Parks and Rec Department will host a teeny Halloweeny event for kids 2 through 6 on Tuesday, October 31st at Cedar Grove Barn from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Come dressed in costume and enjoy the fun, and hoping that everyone has a happy and safe Halloween. Thank you to the volunteers who planted the 20 trees at the Township building on Sunday, October 8th. They look great, and we're thrilled to have them. And on that note, on September 30th, we had our biggest tree giveaway yet. We gave away 260 trees this year, and a lot of planning and organization and promoting and physical labor goes into that event. So I want to publicly thank all of the folks that came to do that. It'll only take a minute, but I want to read out some names because it was a really great group and they did some really spectacular work. So I first want to thank Craig McNally and Samantha Zrillo from the Township for all of your organization, your planning, your plotting. So much went into that. I want to thank the Shade Tree Commission, Christian Fassbender, Natalie Borkowski, David Diamore, Fran Kelly, and Vera Kosobutsky. I also want to thank from our Environmental Advisory Board, Deborah Harris and Karen Kabnick. We had Public Works helped us unload the truck with trees. They also helped us cut protective fencing. And I want to thank Joe Brown, John Close, Preston Hampton, Mark Koneski, and Robbie Williamson. And thanks also to, we had a number of high school volunteers and one middle school volunteer. And we can't thank you all enough, and we're looking forward to next year. Thank you.
Thanks, JC. All right, this is a very exciting meeting when we get to honor our Emergency Service Corps. And we have quite a bit of accommodations, and I'm going to actually turn this over to Andrew. You can come up to the podium. We're going to do the years of service recognition first. I'll come down from the podium because I'm sure everybody wants to shake my sweaty hand when I get down there. But Andrew, you announce the names and I'll give them out.
Okay. For years of service recognition, we're going to start with the Barron Hill Fire Company. 5 years of service, Brett Feynman. 10 years of service, Pat Gaffney. 20 years of service, Tim Tye. 20 years of service, Jamie Vile. 25 years of service, Chris Schwartz. We're going to posthumously recognize for 30 years of service, Pat DeChico. Pat passed away on June 21st, 2023 as a 30-year active member of the Barron Hill Fire Company. At his time of passing, he was a driver, safety officer, and held the position of health and safety officer. Additionally, Pat sat on the Board of Trustees for 27 years, including the position of chairman. And Lastly, we're going to recognize from Barron Hill, Tom McAllister for 35 years of service. Years of service recognition from the Spring Mill Fire Company. 5 years of service for John Ledbeater. 5 years of service from Kevin Ames. 15 years of service for John Pierce. 15 years of service for Jeffrey Smith. 20 years of service for Jennifer Cryer. 20 years of service for Terry Esposito Heil. 25 years of service for David Nasir. 35 years of service for Jack Fields. 35 years of service for Wayne B. Masters Jr. 50 years of service for Tom Duncan. And 50 years of service for Wayne B. Masters Sr.
You guys are in the middle. This is your thing. Great.
Come up, please. All members, Springle, all members can turn on.
Next to the tallest guy.
Springle, I could show.
Great. Thank you. Congratulations.
All right, Andrew, you're going to continue now. We'll talk about the train derailment, and we'll do those accommodations.
On July 17, 2023, at 4:55 a.m., the Whitemarsh Township Emergency Services were dispatched to a train crash at the Joshua Road and Stenton Avenue at section of Whitemarsh Township. Arriving units found 15 train cars derailed off the Norfolk Southern train tracks between Joshua Road and Flowertown Road. A unified command post was established in the Wainwright development. Montgomery County's drone operator located the 15-car train derailment east of the Wainwright development. The crew from Rescue 29 descended a hillside at the end of a cul-de-sac of Camburn Road onto the train tracks. The rescue crew assessed the scene on foot, which was more than 1/3 of a mile from the access point. The crew was able to assess train personnel and remove them to a safe location away from the derailed train and possible hazardous materials. Mutual aid resources arrived on scene and at the staging area. Winmore Fire Company, the Flowertown Fire Company, and Harmonville Fire Company members began evacuating the homes on Camburn Road and Elias Court. These evacuations were done out of an abundance of caution. The Colonial School District was an integral to the evacuation in opening Whitemarsh Elementary School for evacuees to shelter until the incident was mitigated. Montgomery County's Hazardous Materials Response Team responded to assist in the identification of the potentially hazardous materials on the train and mitigate any leaks. The members of the team walked the entire length of the train and determined that a single derailed tank car contained hazardous materials. However, that car had not been compromised. Any train derailment has the potential for a serious impact on the railroad, the first responders, and most importantly, the community. This incident was no less significant And as such, I am respectfully requesting that we honor the following agencies with accommodations. Barron Hill Volunteer Fire Company, Spring Mill Fire Company, Whitemarsh Community Ambulance Association, the Whitemarsh Township Police Department, Whitemarsh Township Emergency Management, Harmonville Fire Company, Flowertown Fire Company, Winmore Fire Company, Montgomery County Emergency Management, Montgomery County Hazardous Materials Team, and the Montgomery County Drone Unit.
Nice and tight.
There we go.
Yeah. You know, we're not gonna fit. There you go. Yeah.
Should I kneel in front?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we're gonna.
You should do the
Sure. Greg, who's telling me on the ground? All right. All right, finally, got a lot of awards up here, Mr. Meller.
Deserving.
Alphabetical next time, maybe? I don't know. Might have been helpful, but we would like to celebrate the Spring Mill Fire Department for their 100th year anniversary. It's quite an accomplishment for a volunteer company to be serving one community for a full century. You guys have done a spectacular job. We really appreciate all your service, all your courage, and your dedication. Thank you so much, and I have your accommodation here. We'll see you Saturday for the party.
All the Spring Mill guys? And girls? Girls? All the members? All the members. You want to use?
Could you imagine the stack he would have?
No, I think you should lay on the ground.
Oh, God. Do it.
Very often.
That's the pose, though.
That's it.
You definitely got the best pose.
Thank you.
The fire companies and emergency services are now dismissed. Thank you all very much. If you would like to stay, we do have an exciting agenda at the end. Phillies. Well, we have the Fanatic. He'll be driving around on his four-wheeler before you know it. Very funny. Might shoot a hot dog into the crowd, I don't know. Stop now. All right, where are we at now? All right. So We ready to go, Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from September 14th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2023-24, authorizing the submission of a Department of Conservation and Natural Resources local share account grant to request $1 million to help fund a project to rehabilitate approximately 4,249 linear feet of aging stormwater piping by in-place lining and/or coating?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller.
I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Heinrich.
Ms. Heinrich.
I'm excited to talk about this grant because if awarded, that's a considerable amount of money. Over the past couple of years, the Public Works Director and I have located piping that a lot of it's underneath people's backyards and their fences and sheds and whatnot that make it difficult to dig up and replace. So this method of lining, we sort of had been keeping a list of ones that we needed to do. And this grant came along. We got some quotes from some of the outfits that do this, and we would like authorization to apply for that funding so we can get this much needed work done. So this is just to authorize the application and to designate Rick as the signer of any documents.
That's great.
Yep.
Thanks, Krista. Any board comment? Any public comment? Mr. Miller, please call the roll.
Ms. Toll?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
Chair McCusker?
Yes. Resolution carries. All right. Do I have a motion to authorize the advertisement of an ordinance and public hearing for the use of open space funds for the purchase of 29-acre conservation easement at 7111 Sheaff Lane?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Chair McCusker. Back in February, the board adopted a resolution which they agreed to acquire a permanent conservation easement over approximately 29 acres from the Highlands Historical Society at 7111 Sheaff Lane. The township will have to enter an agreement of sale with the Highlands in order for this conservation easement. They will have to have a public hearing in accordance with the Open Space Act. The amount in exchange for the conservation easement is $6,095,000. That money would come from the township's Open Space Earned Income Tax Act 153 funds. We are recommending authorization to advertise the ordinance and hold the board's meeting on November the 3rd, 2023. After the board adopts the ordinance and holds the public hearing, they would then be able to settle at a point when all the conditions are met in the agreement of sale.
Thank you. Do you have any board comment? Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the expenditure of $30,918.80 by the Highlands Historical Society for property condition report at the Highlands, 7001 Sheaff Lane?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller.
In accordance with the easement agreement we have at the Highlands, any approval or any expenditure that exceeds $5,000 requires the Township Board of Supervisors approval. We received an invoice indicating that they did a property condition report, and they are requesting that the board authorize the funds to be released for payment for this report.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that the Highlands Committee has done a fantastic job from our visits there over the past several months. It looks beautiful. So any other board comment? Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the escrow release number 1 for 5 and 15 Germantown Pike in the amount of $114,231.24?
So moved.
Second.
Krista.
Hello again.
How are you?
This is The second and third property in from Germantown and Butler Pike. If you recall, it was the two buildings with the parking lot in between. They were going to rehab the building and expand the parking lot. This is their first request, and if authorized, it would leave the escrow with $250,000, $862.72. And we are recommending authorization to release the funding.
Thanks, Krista. Any board comment? Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the final escrow release number 3 for 735 Bethlehem Pike in the amount of $88,217.50?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Heinrich.
This one has been done for some time. They did have some outstanding landscape items that were recently addressed, and this would be the final release in the amount of $88,217.50. We are recommending that that release be authorized.
Thank you. Is there any board comment?
That's the property on the corner of Valley Grade, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the order and settlement stipulation between 650 Church Road versus Monco Board of Assessment Appeals, resulting in the decreased assessment for 2022 to 2023, requiring a repayment in township real estate taxes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Chair McCusker. Every once in a while, we get ones where where it's increased and we have some money that comes to us, and unfortunately, in this case, it was decreased, and the money will go back to the taxpayer. It is for the tax years of 2022 and 2023. The repayment is $1,120.69 that the township will have to repay in township real estate taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any board comment?
No.
Public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve expenditures totaling $1,111,604.74 and payroll totaling $967,570.92 and pension paid costs totaling $3,459.71 for September 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the installation of a fence at 49 Hunter Road?
So moved.
Second.
Charlie?
Thank you. This is a proposal to put a 4-foot-high picket fence around a portion of the side and rear yard of this property, a small portion of which is visible from Hunter Road and possibly from Tara Court. This is a corner property. HARB reviewed this at their meeting yesterday, October 11th, found no issues with it, and recommended the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to the public comment period. Do we have any public comment? Come on up.
My name is Marjorie Weiss. I live at 11 Viburnum Court in the Andorra Woods townhouses. We're part of Lafayette Hill, Whitemarsh Township. On the corner of Joshua and Bridge, the northeast corner, there's a house used to belong to a dentist. It's my understanding the gentleman died. There were no direct heirs. The house has been slowly disintegrating. Obviously, animals and people have been going in and taking it apart and making a mess of it. I came to the office some months ago and said, hey, there's this house, it's disintegrating. They said, we know about it. Nothing happened. I came back a month or two later. I talked about this house. They said, we're taking care of it. Nothing's been happening except it's falling apart. What is going to happen to this house?
Yeah, so, Mr. Miller, we have talked about that before in another meeting it came up. What are our,
Yeah, this might be a different house. This is the one on the corner. Yeah, that has been issues. It's been in sheriff's sale, and trying to find the owner has been challenging because he doesn't live around here. But I'll have to find out where it is from a code enforcement standpoint. I don't know offhand where it is, where it stands in terms of any violations that have been issued on the property or what have you.
This has not been condemned yet?
Condemning it makes it the ownership of the township. We don't condemn property.
I'm sorry, I missed something.
Condemning it makes it ownership of the township. We don't condemn property. The township does not condemn property.
Because
We don't want to own the property.
So what are you doing?
That's what I indicated. I have
You're
to
going to see
see.
if the sheriff's sale has gone through?
No, I have to see where it is from a code enforcement standpoint. If it's been in violation, if there's violations against it. I don't have that information with me. I'd have to find out.
When will you have that information, sir?
Tomorrow.
And if I come to the window next week, will the ladies tell me? Because I understand
You can-
if
you can-
they're not authorized to speak.
Sure, you can ask for me, and I will be happy to tell you where we're at with the property.
Thank you.
thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Nothing? Any board comment? Well, that brings us to the end of the meeting. Mr. Miller, I think I want to just add this. Attaboy, Miller.
Funny.
So I'd like to announce we had an executive meeting before this discussing personnel and real estate. Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night, Whitemarsh.
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies.
Indeed.